Thank you for joining us. My name is Daniel Hoffman-Zimmelman. I'm the Executive Director at One Iowa, and today we are here to wish you a happy Veterans Day. So Veterans Day, we want to spotlight the brave transgender Iowans who serve our country. Actually, the Williams Institute estimates there are 134,000 transgender veterans and more than 15,000 transgender troops currently on active duty. So according to those numbers, potentially the U.S. military it could be the largest employer of transgender individuals across the world. Transgender people serve our country in these large numbers despite facing disrespect at nearly every turn by politicians, policies like the recent military ban, and the blatantly false and harmful stereotypes that these have created. Their courage and resilience is unparalleled, and we should honor them every day, not just on Veterans Day. So today I'm here with Jack Schuler, who is a Marine Corps veteran and is also currently serving in the United States Army Reserve, and is also an Iowa Action Board member. So welcome to today's segment, Jack.
Thank you.
Jack, do you want to just start off by telling us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. I grew up in Illinois, and it was a sort of rural industrial kind of place, fairly conservative-ish. Went to parochial schools. So it kind of took me a while when I finally started thinking about myself as a member of the LGBT community. It definitely took me a while to overcome some of those mental roadblocks that had been placed in my path from my upbringing. I spent some time in Japan as an exchange student. That was probably my first exposure to the world that made me start questioning what I'd been raised to believe. I attended Briarcliff University for a little while. They actually have it's called Source. It is it's sort of like a GSA type organization. And it was stood up while I was there.
Cool.
After that, I got a degree in theater in 2005, worked for a little bit, decided to do the thing I had always meant to do, and I joined the Marine Corps. And I served as a linguist from 2006 until 2011, learned Arabic Farsi, deployed a little bit, doing a lot of signals intelligence. When my contract was over, I went back to Briarcliff to study education, English, and history, and then I transferred over to the Army Reserve, where I'm now a chemical operations specialist.
Wow.
So that's the life story of Jack.
Nice.
In maybe 2 minutes.
What specifically inspired you to want to serve our country?
It was something like from the time I was a kid that I wanted to do. My dad served. He was in the 101st. It's kind of funny, or ironic rather. During the Vietnam War, you always hear about people trying to avoid military service. He had a rheumatic fever, and he kept trying to get into the service. And then finally, he got a waiver for his medical condition, and they let him in. But he was a big inspiration for me. Both my grandfathers served during World War II. My great-grandfather volunteered for the Coast Guard. He had a fishing boat in the Gulf of Mexico. So that, all the way back to the Civil War.
Quite the family affair.
Yeah. I had two, I can't think of what they would be, because they both died, so I'm not a direct descendant, but they both served for the Union.
Wow.
Yes.
Impressive.
Yeah.
What's your experience been like serving in the military?
It's like any other thing. It has its ups and downs. I served under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. That was when I got in, so I had to promise that I would not engage in any homosexual behavior. And at that time, I knew that I was a member of the LGBT community. I was still trying to figure myself out, so I had to quickly put myself back in the closet in order to serve. But I do recall in 2011, right about the time I was getting out of the Marine Corps, was when they were starting to roll back Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and we had a general from the Pentagon come to Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii, and talk to us, and he straight up said, he's like, listen, it doesn't matter whether you like it or not, it's happening. Don't Ask, Don't Tell's going away. You're going to be serving with people who are openly gay. Deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then dealing with the transgender ban, with my unit, because, you know, being the transgender experience is unique within the LGBT community, that my unit and we are both kind of learning as we go. There are a lot of things we didn't realize we would have to deal with that we do have to deal with. They legally, as long as there's an F and it says female on my birth certificate and on my records, they have to give me birthing with the other females. Birthing, not birthing like having birthing as in like where you sleep and where you stay and where you shower. So that's interesting. Otherwise, they could suffer some severe ramifications if they didn't. Yeah. Because it's a pretty strict order. So we're trying to navigate this new water as we go together.
Yeah. How did you feel the day this came out?
When and I know I've talked about it before with different people. I went to bed not suspecting a thing. I woke up to a barrage of messages and missed calls and this and that and people sharing links with me. And at first, like, my heart sank. And I was like, oh God, no. I just re-enlisted. And after I had that initial reaction, I was like, okay, I need to do something about it. And that kind of spurred on the activist in me, and I started talking about it, and I started doing my best to raise awareness. And last I've heard, it's actually been blocked.
Wow. Yeah, that's true.
I can't think of the judge, blocked it. So that gives me some hope that while it's in review and while they're working it all out, that I can continue to serve, and eventually maybe, you know, the Trump administration will think that it's not the hill they want to die on.
Let's hope.
Or we get a new administration. Either are is good with me.
Sure. What are specific things that people out there watching can do, both trans folks and allies? With trans folks, I definitely think we have to have heart. I know for me, in particular, after the 2016 election, it was a really mentally, emotionally difficult time. But given what's recently happened with this 2017 election, there's a lot of hope. We've had transgender people all over the country rise up, run for office, win. Get elected, that's right.
Yeah. Represent us, so...
At least 7 that we know of yesterday.
Yeah. So don't despair. Keep pushing forward for the trans community. I mean, it's going to be difficult, but it's always been difficult. Yeah. And that's what makes it worth it. For our allies, keep talking. Keep talking to people. And, I mean, we've seen what many voices in unison can do for a cause.
Absolutely.
So get out there, call your legislators, call your elected officials, and tell them to stop messing with trans people. Because we'll run against them for office and we'll win.
Are there specific things that we can do for transgender veterans or current transgender people that are serving? Yeah,
again, for allies, it really helps to make sure that you lean on elected officials to fully fund the VA, to make sure that transgender care is part of VA services. Because those are two of the biggest things right now. Is the VA in the past has been overwhelmed with the influx of veterans from the War on Terror, and also, you know, I've had to advise folks at the VA of civilian people that they can redirect transgender veterans to, because they might not necessarily have the services available at the VA. So if we can get the services we need there, that would really help us out a lot.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to add before we go?
No, I think that's it. I'm awesome. Pretty good.
Well, thank you so much for your service.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Such courage. At One Iowa, we will continue to fight for the rights of transgender Iowans, and especially transgender veterans, and making sure that they receive the respect that they deserve. Happy Veterans Day, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.